Next up, we have Dr. Theresa Caruana, who will be presenting on interpersonal and structural dimensions of opioid agonist treatment stigma in community pharmacies.
So methadone and buprenorphine are effective medications for reducing health and social harms related to heroin or other opioid use, but consumers can be subject to discrediting attributions. My doctoral thesis explored the attitudes and experiences of people who dispense or receive opioid agonist treatments within community pharmacies in 2 regions of Australia. Interviews investigated perceptions of the treatment model, including its strengths and shortcomings. Stigma was experienced as structured within the rules and systems of accessing treatment and was communicated interpersonally through cold or disrespectful behaviours from pharmacists. Stigma was shown to have debilitating effects on consumers' self-image, connectedness with others, and quality of life. Within the pharmacy, the ways in which dispensing processes differed from other transactions created burdens and were perceived to denote mistrust. Pharmacies were found to be a site of social inclusion and support by some, particularly where pharmacists demonstrated trust and positive regard. Respondents expressed frustration with the onerous, inequitable and inflexible aspects of the treatment system, with pharmacists attributing this to overregulation and consumers perceiving it as stigma. However, both acknowledged that the pharmacy was an accessible, effective and necessary site for delivering these health-affirming medications. For participants in the Northern Rivers region, follow-up interviews were conducted with people who experienced treatment delays or disruptions due to flooding events that occurred in 2022. Several pharmacies and prescriber clinics were destroyed in the floods. Many people lost their homes. And consumers described how needing to get their dose and often waiting many hours in a queue outside the public clinic each day for this to happen, despite being pharmacy consumers. It took precious time away from attending to the other urgent needs they have in relation to recovering from the flood and from being with their family and friends. Stigma-related system restrictions led to impeded medication access, compromised privacy, and compounded distress for many during this time. Stigma and its effects were then measured using matched data within linear mixed effects models, and I don't really have the time to describe this study, but basically pharmacists' implicit and explicit attitudes were measured, and there was no association with explicit attitudes, but implicit attitudes, which were measured with a response time test, were found to be associated with the consumers that they dispensed to reporting poorer wellbeing over time, which was over a 6-month period, using the substance use recovery evaluator. So this was a novel finding in that it connected the reflexive automatic cognitions of a health service provider to the longitudinal outcomes of the consumer, demonstrating that interpersonal stigma could be statistically linked to real-world negative impacts. I will end by summarising what I learned about stigma through this research. So stigma encompasses learnings, cognitions and mechanisms and effects that are linked by their role in signifying and producing social denigration. It is expressed within situations of power, it reproduces repressive social norms, and it takes varying forms within different settings, including subtle and blatant expressions. People subjected to stigma can experience it in differing ways, for instance, sharply and painfully as an infrequent or constant experience, or as a frequent or constant condition, or as a normalised, internalised, or indistinguishable feeling that doesn't differ from other subjectifying circumstances in one's life. While this expansiveness can make it challenging to research stigma, it also enables and makes necessary that wide-ranging research methods and targets are pursued, as this will support the development of more effective strategies to reduce stigma. Thanks.